So this is it. We reached Learning Target 17, Day 3. And we're talking about finding x-intercepts. But in order to do that, we need to figure out what is an x-intercept. So the x value in the ordered pair where the graph of the line crosses the x-axis. So I'll draw you a picture here. So if this is our graph, we just talked about in the last lesson that if it hits this axis somewhere, that is going to be the y-intercept. So wherever it hits the x-intercept is called the x-axis. How do you determine the x and y-intercepts from an equation? The first step we're going to do is solve for y if necessary. Find b, which is your y-intercept. And then you substitute 0 in for y and solve for x. Then you plot the intercepts and graph the line. So we have y equals negative 3x plus 2. Well, the first step it said to solve for y, so it is as y equals something, so we're okay. Find b. This is what we're really good at. It's right here tacked on the end. So we have b is equal to 2. So now step 3, substitute 0 in for y and solve for x. So what we do is we have y equals negative 3x plus 2, and we're substituting 0 in for x. So what we really have is negative 0 in for y. 0 equals negative 3x plus 2. Now we subtract 2, and now what we have is negative 2 equals negative 3x. Now we divide by 3, negative 3, divide by negative 3. So we know that our equation, the slope of our equation, or our x is equal to, simplify that, x is equal to 2/3. Now that's not very pretty, but that's okay. So our intercepts are at 2, our y-intercept is at 2. So here is our y-intercept. And our x-intercept rather is going to be in red. And it's at 2/3. So it's almost at 1. So we plot the intercepts and graph the line. So let's grab that line. And we're going to go through, make sure we have the double arrows. Good. And we're going to go through those points. And that's how we do it. Now here's kind of a tricky one. What we want to do is we want to write it so that we have y equals something. So the first thing we want to do is bomb that 2 through. So we have negative 2y equals 10 minus 6x. And then to get rid of it, we divide by negative 2. And we have that y is equal to 10 divided by negative 2 is a negative 5. And then we have negative 6x divided by negative 2 is a positive 3x. So that was our first step. Now what we want to do is identify our y-intercept. So b equals this number right here. So we have b equals negative 5. So I'm going to graph that right away because we know how to do that. So we're going down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's going to be right here. I'm going to erase that line so it doesn't mess us up. Now we want to find our x-intercept. So we just found our y-intercept. But now we want to find our x-intercept. So what we do is we plug 0 in for y. We're going to use this equation here. So we have y equals negative 5 plus 3x. So we substitute 0 in for y. 0 equals negative 5 plus 3x. We add 5, cancel this out, and then we have 5 equals 3x. Now to get x by itself, we're going to divide by 3. So we have x is equal to 5 over 3. And so now we know that 5 over 3 is a little bit bigger than 3 over 3. We know that 3 over 3 equals 1. So we have 1 and 2/3. That's this same number here. The reason why I'm writing that is because it's easier to graph a point. I'm going to draw it in green so we don't get confused here. We're going to start at the origin, and we're going to go to the right 1 and a little bit more than 1. So right here. So the reason why I wrote it as 1 and 2/3 is because I don't know how many boxes 5/3 is. So I know that I can go over 1 and 2/3 boxes. So I'm going to erase this little line here. And then finish it out with that line through the points. So the next thing we do, we have the line written as y equals something, so that's great. And I want us to be reminded that it's y equals mx plus b. And so let's identify our pieces. We know that b is -5. So I'm going to graph that right away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right here. And so now what we would do is plug in 0 for y and solve for x. So what we would do is, so we have y equals -5. However, if you'll notice, we don't have our slope is equal to 0. So what that means is we're going to have this straight across line. Remember our little skiing friend here? He says this is 0 fun. So that's what our line is going to look like. So we don't have x-intercepts. Because if we're down here, I'll graph our line for us. If we're all the way down here, straight across, it's never going to run into that x-axis. So that was kind of an easy one. And we have one now where, so again it's y equals mx plus b. We have that our m is -1/2, but we have plus 0, so our b is equal to 0, which is right here. So now if we plug in 0 for y, we have 0 equals -1/2 x. So we're going to divide by -1/2, divide by -1/2. And what we have is x equals 0. Well, that's the same thing because it's the origin where both of our numbers are 0 and 0. So we can't graph a line like that. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to use the slope, what we know about the slope. And we're going to have to start at the origin and go down 1, -1, and to the right 2, 1, 2. And plot that point here. Same thing, go down 1, over 2, plot that point here. So our x and y intercepts didn't really help us to graph this. So we have to use what we know to graph the problem. So sometimes it'll help and sometimes it won't. So that was our lesson today about graphing and finding the x-intercepts. So now I want you to try finding the x and y intercepts. and then graphing those equations. Don't forget to do your summary. Good luck.